Please join with us on page 10 of our prayer books, Hine Matov. Hine Matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yahad. 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 Hi, everybody. Shabbat Shalom.
Cantor.
It's so good to see all of you. Welcome to Anshe Chesed Fairmount Temple. My name is Cantor Vladimir Lapin. I'm happy to share services tonight with our Rabbi, Josh Caruso, and I'd like to welcome our special guest pianist, Helen Kohler. First time playing for us tonight. Thank you for being here. Thank you to all of us who are present here in person in the Bogomolny Activity Center and to all of those watching on live stream. If you are watching, please let us know that you're here. You can just put in Shabbat Shalom into the chat. I also want to take this moment to invite all of you to share a greeting with each other and wish each other a Shabbat Shalom. So let's take this moment. I've been rating of how boisterous we can do a greeting, and that was pretty good.
I wanted more time. I wanted to. Okay.
We're good at schmoozing.
Yeah.
Let's everybody take a big breath for Shabbat. I want to take this moment to invite you to think about your past week. Do you remember where you were last week, what you were doing last weekend, Monday, Tuesday? Trying to think, where were we? We could have been at Temple Tefereth. We could have been in the chapel. We could have been in the Bogomolny. I remember where the last Shabbat was.
Last Shabbat, right? You were in the chapel.
We were in the chapel.
Yeah,
we were in
yeah.
the chapel last
Yeah.
Shabbat. Now I want you to think about something you want to take with you this Shabbat. Something special, maybe something that sparked joy for you, and something that you want to take with you into this Shabbat. And now think of something you want to set aside and not bring with you. For this moment, give yourself the permission to let that go. You're not going to take that with you into these next 25 hours. I share with you this reading for Shabbat. Where has this week vanished? Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover anything from it? The joy of life, the unexpected victory, the realized hope, the task accomplished? Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of what it was? On this day, let me keep for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me be free of the burdens that must return. On this day, Shabbat, abide. Help me to withdraw for a while from the flight of time. Contain the retreat of the hours and days from the grasp of frantic life. Let me learn to pause, if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day. Let me enter into a quiet world this day. On this day, Shabbat, abide. Let us take another deep breath. We continue in our prayer books on page 2 with the lighting of our Shabbat candles. Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say, Amen. Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say, Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Now I feel like Shabbat's really here. We're going to continue with Lecha Dodi on page 20 in your prayer books. Lecha Dodi.
As you're turning to page 20, I just want to mention two things. There's two pieces that I chose new melodies for in today's service. One is going to be the Lecha Dodi, which we're about to sing, and later in the service, after our silent prayer, there's going to be a blessing that is in your program. And I chose these melodies based on the composers. These are composers from progressive communities in Israel, progressive Jewish communities in Israel. And these are the melodies that they're singing in Israel right now on this Shabbat as well. And I wanted to make sure that in our show of solidarity, in our show of hope and strength, that we are singing the same melodies that they are singing in Israel. And so this Lecha Dodi, while it might be new, I hope you'll pick it up quickly. We'll sing it here tonight, and just know that 6 hours ago they were singing this in Israel as Shabbat was beginning. Lecha Dodi shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad ishmi'anu el hamiuchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad l'shem ultiferet v'lithilah lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki mekor habraha meirosh mikedem nesucha sof ma'aseh b'machshava techila lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Verse 5 Hitoreri כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
I invite you to rise as you are able, face the entrance as we welcome the Sabbath bride.
Verse 9. בואי ושלום, עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. Join with us. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
If you are able, we ask that you remain standing. Turn to page 29. There is one who sings the song of his own life, finding everything within himself. There is one who leaves the circle of herself and sings the song of her people. There is one whose voice rings with the song of humanity, hoping for the highest perfection. And there is one who rises even higher, uniting with all creatures, with all worlds, filling the universe with song. Nevarech, let us bless. Page 28, Baruch Hu.
Yalla lay lay lay, 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 yalla lay lay lay. Baruchu et Adonai המבורך, ברוך אדוני המבורך, לעולם ועד, לעולם ועד. יאללה לי לי לי, יאללה לי לי לי, יאללה לי לי לי, יאללה לי לי לי. Yalla lay lay lay, yalla lay lay lay, yalla lay lay lay, yalla lay lay lay.
Page 33. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me, did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen and to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Page 34. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed.
May be seated. Continue with Ve'ahavta, page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בעם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך,
ובשוכבך
ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם.
אני
אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות להם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohechem Emet. Page 39. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot. Let's read together. That wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, and that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Continue on page 40. Mi chamocha.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש. נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, זה אלינו ואמרו, זה אלינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. יאי לי 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 לי, יאי לי 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 לי, יאי לי 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 לי, יאי לי 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 לי.
Continue with Hashkivenu. We turn to page 42. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו, שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, ועמידנו שומרנו, שומרנו לחיים. ופרוס עלינו, פרוס עלינו, סוכת שלומך, עלינו סוכת שלומך. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו, שומרנו לחיים.
V'shamru v'nei Yisrael, people of Israel shall keep Shabbat, observing it through the ages as a covenant for all time. Page 44.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש.
We invite you to rise now as you're able once again for Tefillah. We begin on page 46, and then we'll be moving through to page 50, 52. Page 46 we begin with Adonai Sifatai.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יחללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
You may be seated. I'm still thinking about Cantor Lappin, the beginning of the service when you invited us all to take that breath. And so maybe we can extend that moment and take a few more breaths and have this time as found time for yourself. No agenda, just an opportunity to be with you, to be with your thoughts, to think about the blessings in your life. And again, thinking about what we're going to carry with us into the Shabbat, what we're going to leave behind. We pause for a few moments.
Ben Adam, Allele Male, Allele Mala, Allele Ben Adam, Allele Mala, Allele Ben Adam, Allele Mala, Allele Mala, Allele Ben Adam, Allele Mala, Ki koach az lecha, יש לך כנפי רוח, יש לך כנפי רוח, כנפי נשרים אבירים, אל תכחש בם, פן יכחשו לך. דרוש אותם, דרוש בן אדם, וימצאו לך מיד. בן אדם, עלה למעלה, עלה למעלה, עלה בן אדם, עלה למעלה, עלה, כי כוח עז לך, יש לך כנפי רוח, יש לך כנפי רוח, כנפי נשרים אבירים, אל תכחש בם, פן יכחשו לך. דרוש אותם, דרוש בן אדם, וימצאו לך מיד. בן אדם, עלה למעלה, עלה למעלה, עלה בן אדם, עלה למעלה.
O human, rise up, for you have the strength to do so. You have wings of the Spirit, wings of powerful eagles. Do not deny them, or they will deny you. Seek them, and you will find them swiftly. Beautiful. Continue now with our Tfilat Mishaberach, our prayer for healing. We're thinking about those in our community who are in need of healing of body and healing of spirit. We read some of the names of those in our community: Sasha Aber, Elaine Abramson, Ro Allen, Kristen Barnes, Lauren Berg, Ruth Berger, Leonard Bernstein, Bennett Cohen, Ella Dubrow, Dr. Michael Foreman, Elliot Franklin, Mary Freeman, Anna Greenfield, Adrian Greenwald, Kara Greenwald, David Goldfein, Dr. Richard Harlan, Stephen Heller, Eric Hibbert, Margie Hodis, Tema Isser.
Robert Jackson, Brian Jeffries, Linda Kahn, Rami Cantor, Art Kaplansky, Antoinette Karpinski, Famida Katoon, Amy Kinslinger, Patricia Kipstool, Sheldon Claffin, Ellen Kleinerman, Marla Lakin, Helen Levine, Robert Levine, David Loney, Kennedy Linston, Suzanne Luria, Jim Macavina.
Irene Malkovich, Donald Marcus, John Masha, Trina Miller, our Rabbi, Robert A. Nosenchuk, Sophia Paletti, Carol Plank, Gail Ray, Lauren Rettig, Charles Chuck Ross, Gordon Safran, David Schlein, Stephen Schlein, Shelley Schloss, Linda Schneiderman, Dana Weiss Schultz, Alan Schwartz, Steve Shacknow, Linda Seigan, Ronnie Simkoff.
Estelle Slutsky, Barbara Steinfurst, Jerry Tishkoff, Carmel Ventura, Patricia Wagner, Angel Wisner, Robert Williams, Richard Wilson, Manuel Wolf, Isabel Wolf, Norman Zach, Aliza Bat Yitzchak Chaim, HaKohen Vazelda Jenny, Aaron Yaakov ben Pesach, Chaim ben Chana, Hannah bat Meir v'Chava, Ilana Ora bat Avraham v'Sara, Miriel bat Yekutiel v'Rachel,
Mordechai ben Henya, Noam Raphael ben Tali, Tinok ben Shir Israela, Yeta Sarah bat Gittel Chana. So many names. We know that there are more names here with us right now. We're carrying with us those who are joining us by streamcast, watching us on Facebook, or here tonight, that you're carrying names with you. So we want to give you the opportunity to share a name if you wish. Somebody you're hoping for healing, you're sending prayers up for that special healing. We also think about those who are in need of healing, whose maladies are not readily seen to the human eye, but are suffering from addiction, depression, anxiety, all of those things that are so present right now for us in this world, with all of the heartache that's going on in the Middle East and everything around the world, and sometimes just in our little orbit, in our circles. There's lots of pain. And we want to hold you all in this collective embrace at this time for Tefillat Mishaberach.
Page 253, 253. Mishaberach Avoteinu Mikor Abraha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu Mekor habracha le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
From prayers of healing to blessings of joy, We want to acknowledge those in our community who are celebrating milestone anniversaries, milestone birthdays, milestone anything. We're not going to be picky. We definitely want to acknowledge Steve Goldberg. Steve, it's a milestone birthday? Okay, we got it right? Fantastic. Okay, well, whichever milestone you have reached, we are thrilled that we are here to celebrate it with you. And you have loving, go ahead. 39. Well, what a special milestone number. 39 doesn't always come to the mind as a milestone number, but for you, incredible. You look great. So Mazel Tov on 39, Steve. And it's nice to be next to family, being with family here. I know some families in town, and what a joy it is to see all of you together, so many of you together. Not everybody's here, but man, it's good to see you with family. So Mazel Tov, Steve. And is there anybody else who's celebrating a milestone? It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be a birthday or an anniversary. I know one, at least one here. All right, I'm going to be really embarrassed her, but Aubrey, mini triathlon at the JCC. I saw it. Okay, so I think you finished first in your class, right? Mazel Tov. Aubrey's, I didn't know I was going to come to services. I'm going to get called out for that, but that's amazing. That's awesome. Kalina, your little baby, is so proud. Yay.
She won the baby triathlon.
Yeah. It was rigorous. Anybody else have a special milestone? Okay, you may be celebrating it internally, like thinking, I'm so proud of myself. Okay, so we want to wish you Mazel Tov, even if you're not sharing it with us together, but I'm thrilled just to have some Tifereth Israel members here who are here joining us tonight, and we're looking forward to this promising future with the Tifereth community. So welcome to you all who are here, and let us, Samish. Oh.
Before we say, I just want to share one thing.
Okay.
As you're talking about these joyous moments, and we just finished Misha Berach, which is a moment, we're thinking of healing. To be Jewish is to hold both the kind of the sad and the happy together. There's like nothing more meaningful than to be Jewish. Because when I look out and I see a lot of people who are celebrating but also mourning and feeling some sadness, I want to kind of honor this moment of like, this is what being Jewish is all about.
Thank
so
you.
please join me in Shechechianu.
Thank you.
If you want to follow with the words, page 344. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kiyemanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
Amen. Right. Shabbat Shalom. Who watched the Grammy Awards this past Sunday? Okay, there's a few of you. I don't usually watch them. I don't usually watch the Grammy Awards, music's biggest night to recognize the exceptional performers in the world in all musical genres. And I didn't watch this past Sunday, but I did catch a video of Tracy Chapman singing her iconic song, Fast Car, with country singing star Luke Combs. It was a special moment at the Grammys and a reminder that we all have a story of brokenness. Sometimes a song will go straight to the heart and touch on those times. Chapman was actually born and raised on Cleveland's East Side. It is no secret that her experiences growing up in relative poverty informed her writing. She experienced indigence, violence, discrimination, and was coming of age just as Cleveland was working to desegregate the Cleveland schools. The lyrics of Fast Car, her breakout song released in 1988, reflect Chapman's dreams to make it out of poverty and to start anew. The fast car is a metaphor for any transport that would enable Chapman to escape the life to which she was relegated. In the song, she hopes to convince her friend to take their car and make it out of town. The lyrics to the first stanza are as follows. You got a fast car and I want a ticket to anywhere. Maybe we make a deal. Maybe together we can get somewhere. Any place is better. Starting from zero, got nothing to lose. Maybe we'll make something. Me, myself, I got nothing to prove. Chapman, aged 59, is long removed from her life as an adolescent in Cleveland. But the circumstances have not radically changed here in Cleveland. Among the many societal ills impacting our country's children, the legal issue known as youth bindovers is one of the most heartbreaking. Greater Cleveland Congregations has been shining light on this issue, which will be addressed at an upcoming action on February 20th. In Ohio, a bindover occurs when a juvenile court judge transfers a youth case to adult court to be tried and sentenced as an adult. There are two types of bindovers in Ohio, mandatory and discretionary. In a mandatory bindover, the court must transfer a juvenile to adult court given certain circumstances. But GCC is focusing on discretionary bindovers. For discretionary bindovers, juvenile judges and the county prosecutor have a choice to bind over a child or keep the child in juvenile court. I know this sounds like a lot of wonky legal talk, but I'll open it up for you a little bit. In a discretionary bindover case, the court may transfer a juvenile to adult court if all the following criteria are met. The child just has to be age 14 or older at the time of the act that is charged. The charged act would be a felony if committed by an adult. If the child is not amenable to care or rehabilitation within the juvenile system, and the safety of the community requires the child to be subject to adult sanctions. 14 or older. Now, most of us would agree that the safety and security of our county's residents is primary. We must be protected from those who wish to harm us, regardless of the age of the perpetrator. But GCC is asking if there is a way we can both protect our society and advocate for our youth. Sending adolescents to prison does not restore them to be better citizens, but rather consigns them to a downward spiral. Here are the facts. Kids in adult prison are 36 times more likely to die by suicide, and they are at greater risk for sexual abuse, including rape. Studies show that teenagers are not little adults. They don't think like adults, act like adults, process emotions like adults, or understand the world like adults. For those of you who have children, you kind of know what I'm talking about. And less than 30% of Cuyahoga County residents are people of color, and yet 91% of youth bound over to the adult system are black or brown. 91%. Research shows getting tough on crime doesn't make our community any safer. It only leads to more poverty, trauma, desperation, crime, broken homes, and broken lives. As Tracy Chapman's storytelling reveals, she gets a little glimpse into a world she so desires to inhabit. She says, "And you got a fast car, and I got a plan to get us out of here. Been working at the convenience store, managed to save just a little bit of money. Won't have to drive too far, just across the border and into the city. And you and I can both get jobs, finally see what it means to be living." In this week's Torah portion, Mishpatim, it says, when a person opens a pit or digs a pit and does not cover it, and an ox or a donkey falls into it, the one responsible for the pit must make restitution. This law, thousands of years old, is still relevant to us today. In 2024, the open pit could be our society's failure to give our county's youth a leg to stand on. It begs the question, what is our collective responsibility for the youth in our communities? What is our duty to those who have not been raised in loving homes, with attentive parents to guide them, and with caring teachers to mentor them? This is at the crux of the existing tensions between GCC leaders. This is at the crux of the existing tensions between GCC leaders and County Prosecutor Michael O'Malley. Being tough on crime sounds prudent, but when does tough on crime policies relegate our most vulnerable to a life of confinement? Friends, I must confess, as active I have been in the world of criminal justice through GCC, I was really not aware of the impact of youth bindovers. It is sobering to learn that it is a policy of Cuyahoga County to try 14-year-olds as adults for certain crimes committed. So I'll personalize it just a little bit for you. Just this past summer, 14-year-old Darrell Travis was sentenced to 21 years in prison for 5 carjackings, including shooting a woman in the stomach and almost killing her. The troubling question is this child redeemable, or should he be shut away for decades, losing his young adulthood? It's a real question. Moreover, what is our communal responsibility to this child? Seriously, never met this child before in my life. Darrell Travis, grew up in the city, kid I'd never recognize. But what's my responsibility personally? Josh Caruso, what's my responsibility to this kid? And how do we at the same time protect ourselves from individuals like Darrell, who's clearly troubled? How do we protect ourselves and protect Darrell from himself? And importantly, is 21 years in prison the effective way to rehabilitate him? Or is there a better way? Turning to our tradition, a text in the book of Deuteronomy famously references the Ben Sorer Umoreh, a reference to the rebellious child. How many of us had rebellious children? All right, come on. It's all relative what that means, yes. All right, what I'm going to read for you is not Disney. This is not a Disney portion of the Bible. This really happened. Some of you may be aware of this text. But it's not always easy to hear because it's from our Torah. If a man has a wayward and defiant son who does not heed his father or mother, take him to the principal. No. If a man has a wayward and defiant son who does not heed his father or mother and does not obey them after they discipline him, his father and mother shall take hold of him, bring him out to the elders of his town at the public place of his community. They shall say to the elders of the town, "This son of ours is disloyal and defiant. He does not heed us. He is a glutton and a drunkard." Thereupon, the men of his town shall stone him to death. I heard an oy vey. Thus you will sweep out the evil from your midst. All Israel will hear and be afraid. All right. Clearly, this is not a go-to text today for a practical means, and it is certainly not something I teach to young parents who are looking for advice in raising their children. But here are a few points that emerge from this text about the Ben Sorer or Moreh, the rebellious child, this wayward, okay? What is it, like a bad egg? In this passage, if we think about this, if we take it apart, and some of you analytic folks may have already started to think about what that text really means and how to interpret it. In this passage, there is a presumption that the mother and the father are present in the life of the wayward and defiant child. Indeed, Jewish law dictates that the father of a minor child is responsible for his actions, and rabbinic sources do indicate that when a child reaches the age of maturity, back in the Bible, 12 for a girl, 13 for a boy, a metric we would be foolish to follow in the 21st century, right? They are solely responsible, those individuals, 12 or 13, for their actions. Can you imagine? That all said, this text presumes that the rebellious son has parents who are actively involved in his life. But what of the child who comes from a broken home? A child who is orphaned? A child who is abused? Do you treat him the same way? Second thing I got from this text. It is instructive that the rebellious child is put before the community after his parents declare his waywardness. To march a child out in such a public manner shows that the community is responsible for this child. Think about it. Why do they do it at all? Why can't the father or the mother just do away with their child right then and there? Horrible to say. They march him out in the public, which is embarrassing enough. And the community is then responsible for this kid. And even though our text from Deuteronomy teaches that the child should be stoned, not a very nurturing form of public custodianship, the message is undeniable. The community at large has a role in raising a child who is part of a community. 3. While the text I quoted from the Torah seems so assuredly to assert that the rebellious son should be executed by the public, that is not the whole story. And this is the good part of that terrible passage. When you look to our rabbinic sources, there is no record to be found in the thousands of years of sources of a rebellious son ever being executed in such an official and public way. Interesting, right? It's in the text, but it was never played out. In fact, in order to place some checks and balances on the father, the son's care was brought to the elders for review. How about that? Something that appeared in the Torah was meant to be maybe a hyperbolic message, but not something to be carried out, much like eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, which is in this week's portion too. The Talmud states that if either parent was deceased, in fact, the rebellious son could not be indicted. And if the parents were troubled or burdened with disabilities, physical or mental, the child would not be held responsible for such actions. Isn't this the beauty of our tradition, of seeing the nuance in raising a child, raising a family? We're not all the same. We can't hold every kid's actions to the same metric we would hold our own. So living our faith out loud requires that we use the wisdom of our tradition to address the matters that impact our society. How might we use these learnings we just talked about, these Jewish learnings of the wayward and defiant son, to understand cases like that kid I was telling you about, Darrell Travis? Real story, you can look him up on Google, news stories about him. As it happens, my colleagues with GCC, Reverend Ryan Wallace at Fairmount Presbyterian Church and Reverend Napoleon Harris at Antioch Baptist Church. Isn't that a great name, Napoleon Harris? Okay, great clergy name. Reverend Wallace and Reverend Harris, out of the kindness of their hearts and really caring about this child who got himself into a tremendous amount of trouble, even so much so that he was arrested. They put a little brace on his leg, and he broke it. And he ran for his life. He was so afraid because he knew he was going to prison. He finally came back, and Reverend Wallace and Reverend Harris sat down with him and his mother. They spent time with Darrell, and they learned that before the charges against him, Darrell came from a broken home, and his father was not wholly present. He learned more. They learned that Darrell's mother couldn't afford quality legal representation for her son and swing rent at the same time. So what did she do? She gave up dwelling in her apartment and moved Darrell in with his grandparents so we can have the legal representation. And what else did they learn? They learned when they asked Darrell if he had any role models in his life, he mentioned 2 males. As an inspiration and as a source of hope. Both were murdered. Darrell grew up in a violent world. He is currently incarcerated in an environment that only promotes more violence for the next 21 years. 21 years. County Prosecutor Michael O'Malley has been approached by GCC, and frankly, it's been a challenging relationship. I'm going to be honest with you. And it's really interesting because you may remember a prosecutor forum that happened years ago when County Prosecutor McGinty was running for re-election. And O'Malley was there, and I would say part of that prosecutor forum really kind of lifted up O'Malley. And now the irony is O'Malley's not sure if he's going to come to our, our action on February 20th. What are the challenges with him? Well, the challenges for him is that he speaks about the victims of the crimes perpetrated by juveniles. By the way, legitimate, really legitimate. As a Cuyahoga County resident myself, I do want my representative prosecutor to keep me safe. I do not want myself, my wife, or my children, my greater circle endangered by someone like Durrell, who my kids could be carjacked, and worse, they could be assaulted and threatened and even shot with a gun. So thank you, County Prosecutor O'Malley, for keeping us safe. But what we're not hearing from him is his hope that he could do something for us, and also without relegating our youth, still emotionally and cognitively evolving, to decades in a prison cell because they were charged as an adult for crimes that were done before they were a fully formed individual. I get it. It's not easy, folks. I can be a bleeding heart clergyman and not really understand the issues of the day and think about the families who were affected by Durrell's actions. It's real. And some of those people don't want any sympathy for a person who almost killed their loved one. It's difficult. All I say is, if you care about these issues, I invite you to join us on February 20th. Either way, it's going to be interesting. We're inviting the county prosecutor candidates. Maybe both will show up, maybe just one. But either way, we're going to lift up the issues. We're going to hear some testimonies of children who were prosecuted as adults. We'd love to have you there in person, but you can attend via Zoom too. And if you are worshiping with us tonight, you will find the link for registration in the handout. If you are streaming services tonight, check your Wednesday e-blast, and you'll find the link to the action on that email. Not only is this issue important, but there's something really special about dozens of congregations coming together at Antioch Baptist Church to share together in our connection with taking care of our communities. In Tracy Chapman's searing song, she holds on to a sliver of hope, knowing that the status quo will not redeem her. She sings, "You got a fast car. Is it fast enough so we can fly away? Still got to make a decision. Leave tonight or live and die this way." Our tradition teaches that we should not separate from the community, and our mandate is to effect tikkun, healing in this world. May we share this sacred burden as we strive for a more just community. And let us say, amen.
Thank you, Rabbi. We continue on page 282 with our Aleinu prayer. Please rise. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו כעולמונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
May be seated. Page 290, 290. It is a fearful thing to love what death can touch. A fearful thing to love, hope, dream to be and owe to lose. A thing for fools this and a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me, your laugh once lifted me, your word was gift to me. To remember this brings a painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing, to love what death has touched. At this time, We remember those who have died in the last 30 days in the period of Shiva, the period of Shloshim. We remember Lawrence Bradley, Martin Joseph, Riva Danielpour, Blanche Herzig, Gregory Rayfeld, June Rubenstein, Arlene Sandelstein, Alvin Silverman, Darrell Young, Dr. Stephen E. Bloom, Marilyn Shafran, Mark Blumenthal, Sharon Blumenthal. And we remember those who died at this season in years past in the period of Yahrzeit. We remember Clarence Moses Allen, Samuel Apple, Harry E. Arts, Doris Berger, Fred Berkowitz, Cheryl A. Burles, Leah Cynthia Berman, Jack H. Berman, M.D., David B. Black, Marlene Brown, Honey Bush, Harold A. Kahn, Joseph J. Klossman, Sally Gerson Cole, Jack Diamond, Dorothy Middleman Delinsky, Leopold Eckstein, Jacqueline Efron, Jacob R. Falkovich, Sarah Feigenbaum, Sharon B. Freeman, Molly Freed, Elaine Friedman, Rose Friedman, Betty Frisch, Sally M. Guilford, Milford M. Glick.
Ann Goldberg, Ivan J. Goldfarb, Herbert Jules Goodman, Arthur M. Gordon, William Greenfield, Charles Groner, Lucille Gross, Melvin J. Grossman, Marvin A. Halpert, Arthur I. Harris, Brian L. Heyman, Elliot Hershon, David Hyman, Victor S. Insler, Gertrude Klaus, Gussie B. Klein, Janet D. Klobins, Maurice Krongold, David Levitch, Mildred Klein Levitch, David S. Levine, Nat M. Marcus, Alan E. Markowitz, Helen Brudno Marcus, Edward M. Matthews.
Gerald J. Miller, Lee W. Moses, Joseph Nagusky, Edith Orlean, Neil A. Peterman, Samuel Pokris, Julius Palachek, Bessie Rackison, Sally Rosenblum, Morton Russick, Philip Rudolph, Rachel Sanger, Joseph Shermer, Jack Schulhoff, Emmanuel M. Schultz, Morris Schwartz, David Robert Seamus, Dr. Manuel A. Shapiro, Henry I. Seidenberg, Jenny Siegel, William Sinek, Marvin Sogalnik, Betsy H. Spith, Joseph L. Spath, Joseph L. Spitz, Robin Elaine Stein, Lori Strauss.
Louis L. Stringer, Blanche Cohn Walks, Elsie Lieberman Lake Wasserman, Clara Brumel-Weil, Betty Weintraub, Muriel Heisler-Weiss, Harry L. Wadika, Nettie S. Ziskind, Joseph H. Zucker, Bessie Zweig.
If there is a name that was omitted or a name you'd like to contribute at this time to our list, if you are a mourner, you can add that name now. And if you are a mourner in the period of Shiva, in the period of Shloshim, in the Shana, in this past year, or in the period of Yahrzeit, we invite you to rise at this time so we can know you in your grief. And now as one community, we invite everyone to rise with our mourners as we continue with the recitation of the Kaddish Praise. Page 294. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chaye chon uvyome chon. Uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'galau v'zman kari v'imru. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam elomei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar, v'yitalev, v'yitalal, shemei dekudesha, brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da miran be'alma v'imru.
Amen.
Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru.
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru.
Amen.
May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn, comfort to all who are bereaved. We say together,
Amen.
You may be seated. So we turn to the conclusion of our service. Well, we'd like to just, first of all, thank you for being here. It's really special to be able to worship together, to create a container for ourselves, and we all need it. We're all coming from different circumstances of the week, right? Different worries, things that are weighing on us, different burdens, and hopefully tonight provided a little bit of relief and maybe a release valve for you. If you're mourning or if you're in a place of joy, as Cantor Lappin mentioned, we want to hold you wherever you are in your life right now, and we hope this place feels like a safe place for you to be. We want to take this time and thank our guest pianist, Helen Kohler. Thank you. First time here, right? Fantastic. We'd like to thank our greeters and our ushers. We appreciate you so much. Thank you for keeping this raucous crowd in order. We appreciate that. This has been an active time for Temple life. How about that? Active is a good word, right? I think maybe an understatement. Lots going on in this community.
You could say we're going through a triathlon of
yes,
stuff.
The triathlon of activity in Temple life. And our staff has been quite amazing to hold us all together. And usually on a Shabbat evening, it's Barbara Smith who's here, just making sure everything is taken care of. So thank you, Barbara, for all you do. And we also want to just acknowledge this incredible work that's going on with the teams working on our potential unification with the Temple Tifereth Israel. It's been a tremendous amount of work led by a very able number of and capable number of lay people, including our president, Michelle Krantz, who's here tonight. So thank you, Michelle, for all you do, for holding us together right now. I'd also like to mention that there continues to be living room conversations. It's an opportunity to meet members of Temple Tifereth Israel and clergy from each temple, hosted by temple members. And you can still sign up for those. Hopefully you're getting emails. There's a special weekly email now on Tuesdays that comes out specifically about unification updates. If you have questions, or if you just want to meet people, or if you want to voice something, please do that, because we'd love to hear you. We know there's one at least happening March 3rd, but there's a bunch of them. There's a form you can fill out if you want to host or if you just want to attend. We highly encourage you, because after the fact, we want you to be able to say, oh, okay, I had some questions, but then I went to this living room conversation, and some of those questions were answered. We know it's an emotional time for everybody here, but really looking forward to the potential for growing together these two communities with shared demographics and shared relationships for so many years. Okay, just a couple more things. Do we have tomorrow morning?
Torah study at 9:15.
Okay.
To join us. At 11 a.m., if you have children from 0 to 5, we're going to be here celebrating Shabbat together at 11 a.m. And then if you have those same children, at 4 p.m., this is not in the program, at the Beechwood Community Center, we are, Rabbi Mulbaum, Eli, and I are leading, it's Havdalah, Pajama Havdalah with PJ Library. If you'd like any more information, just send me an email, and I'm happy to offer you an invite. So yeah, that's
tomorrow
it's
at 4.
Tomorrow at 4. So
That's a long. So if you have those very same children, or you could pick up new children and bring them
right.
to 4 o'clock.
There's programming in the morning. There's programming in the evening.
If you've never seen Cantor Lappin and Rabbi Mulbaum lead one of these Tat Shabbat services, you're missing something.
Kalina is one of our stars.
Yes, Kalina is one of our stars, future triathlete herself. And then we talked about the candidate forum. Also on here is this Pursuit of Harmony. It's an opportunity to meet an American Jewish singer-songwriter and a Palestinian Muslim singer-songwriter. They created a partnership more than a decade ago, and they're still partnering together, working towards peace. Really an opportunity, and that'll be on Zoom on March 3rd, so we hope you join for that as well. Shall we?
Please join us for Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
We say L'chaim. It's a big challah? Okay.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. And our concluding song is Fast Car. I'm just kidding. I could have planned it. I could have planned it.
I figured I wasn't going to try to sing it.
We're going to conclude with our prayer for peace. If you're still on page 294, the last lines of our Hebrew prayer, Oseh Shalom. And thank you so much for joining with us. And we hope that this week, this Shabbat, and then the week that follows is a week of peace, a week of hope, and a week of joy.
Amen.
Please rise if you're able to. Oseh Shalom, Shalom bimromav, Hu ya'aseh Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Hu ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Amen. Oseh Shalom, Shalom bimromav, Hu ya'aseh Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru Amen. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Amen.
Shabbat Shalom. Join us for some sweet treats in the Commons.